May 2020, 3 miles beneath the Pacific Ocean, explorers expected scattered wreckage. But what emerged instead was a battleship, upside down but unmistakable. The number 36 burned bright on the stern, untouched for 77 years. This was Nevada, survivor of Pearl Harbor, D-Day flagship, twice struck by atomic bombs, and now the world's best preserved relic of war and nuclear fire. How did the ship that should not exist end up here almost whole, defying history and physics? The journey begins with a design that saved thousands on the day America was attacked. In 1916, as the world braced for the uncertainty of modern war, American naval architects launched a battleship unlike any before. USS Nevada was the first to carry the all-or-nothing armor scheme, a radical idea that rejected spreading protection thin. Instead, Nevada's designers concentrated the thickest steel over the ship's magazines and machinery, the places where a single hit could mean disaster. Less vital areas like the bow and stern received only minimal plating. This approach made Nevada heavier where it counted, and light enough elsewhere to carry more firepower and fuel. During World War I, Nevada put this philosophy to the test while escorting convoys across the Atlantic. German U-boats prowled those waters, but Nevada's armored citadel kept her safe. Even as she shepherded President Wilson's delegation to the Versailles peace talks in 1919. The ship's broad, uncluttered decks and distinctive cage masts became a familiar sight in the fleet. But it was her internal structure, her armored heart, that set her apart. Naval engineers of the era faced a dilemma: how to defend against new, more powerful shells and torpedoes without making ships so heavy they became slow and unwieldy. Nevada's solution would change battleship design worldwide. By focusing armor over the ammunition magazines and engine rooms, Nevada could survive hits that would cripple other ships. Her hull plans and cross-sections, studied by generations of officers, showed a network of armored decks and bulkheads, each one a last line of defense. This engineering gamble would soon be put to the ultimate test. When the attack on Pearl Harbor came, Nevada's survival depended not on luck, but on the foresight of those who built her to endure the unimaginable. At 8:10 a.m. on December 7, 1941, a single torpedo slammed into Nevada's port side, tearing through the hull just forward of Turret 1. The shock rippled through the decks, sending men scrambling for their stations. Water poured in fast, threatening to tip the ship. But on the bridge, Lieutenant Commander Francis J. Thomas and his officers acted without hesitation. They ordered counterflooding, opening valves to flood compartments on the opposite side, balancing the ship against the sudden weight of the sea. Below deck, damage control teams worked in darkness and rising water, sealing off ruptured bulkheads while the engineers kept the turbines spinning. Above, Nevada's anti-aircraft gunners fought back. The first Japanese plane to cross the ship's sights was shot down almost immediately after dropping its torpedo. Gunners tracked targets through smoke and chaos, firing at attackers as they swooped low over Battleship Row. Nevada's crews brought down at least 4 enemy aircraft during the first waves, according to the ship's action report, a rare feat under such relentless assault. Shell casings piled up around their feet as they reloaded and fired again, determined to keep the sky clear for as long as possible. Even as fires broke out and alarms sounded, Nevada's engines answered the call. By 8:40 a.m., she was moving under her own power, the only battleship to do so that morning. The deck log notes that the ship was making way under her own power at 8:40 a.m. The battered hull pushed through oil-slicked water, trailing smoke, as the crew braced for what they knew would come next. The attack was far from over, but Nevada was no easy target. Her survival depended on every decision made in those first desperate minutes. Smoke poured from Nevada's decks as she pressed down the channel, battered by wave after wave of Japanese bombers. At least 5 bombs struck home, and some sources say 6 or more, each one tearing through steel, setting fires, and sending shrapnel whistling through the ship. One bomb pierced the forecastle, exploding deep inside and igniting a blaze that threatened the forward magazines. Another slammed near the bridge, scattering command posts and killing crew in an instant. The deck heaved as more bombs found their marks, rupturing bulkheads and flooding compartments already weakened by the earlier torpedo hit. The crew's world narrowed to fire, smoke, and the deafening roar of explosions. Medical teams dragged the wounded from burning passageways, laying them out on the deck as flames closed in. Engineering crews fought to keep the turbines turning, even as steam lines burst and water surged below. Every minute Nevada remained afloat, she drew more enemy fire, since Japanese pilots understood that sinking her in the channel would bottle up the entire Pacific Fleet. With the ship ablaze and steering sluggish, the captain faced a terrible choice. If Nevada sank in the channel, rescue ships and surviving battleships would be trapped, unable to sortie to open sea. At 10:30 in the morning, the order came to run her aground off Hospital Point. Engines strained as Nevada swung toward the shallows, grinding to a halt in a rising tide of oil and debris. The battered hull settled into the mud, flames licking at the superstructure. 60 sailors had been killed, 109 wounded, some dying as they shielded others from the blasts. Yet by grounding Nevada clear of the channel, her captain and crew kept the harbor open, sparing the Pacific Fleet from disaster. The ship's sacrifice bought time, saved lives, and turned a near-fatal blow into a chance for survival. Teams of naval engineers and civilian welders faced a ship gutted by fire and riddled with bomb and torpedo damage. Over months, they worked in stifling heat and darkness, first sealing ruptured hull plates, then pumping out the oily water that had flooded Nevada's lower decks. The air below was thick with hydrogen sulfide from rotting stores and fuel, forcing workers to wear gas masks and carry canaries as early warning for toxic fumes. Every inch of progress was hard-won, with salvage crews patching holes, reinforcing bulkheads, and rebuilding shattered machinery. The most powerful symbol of Nevada's rebirth came when shipyard cranes lowered 14-inch guns, salvaged from the wreck of USS Arizona, into her turrets. These barrels, once silenced by the flames of December 7th, would now thunder again in battle. Each weld and rivet bound the memory of Pearl Harbor's losses to Nevada's new fighting spirit. By 1943, the battered battleship emerged from Puget Sound Navy Yard fully modernized, her superstructure rebuilt, new radar and fire control systems installed, and the scars of attack transformed into marks of resilience. The ship that had once seemed lost now stood ready to return to war, carrying both the weight of tragedy and the promise of renewed strength. Dawn broke over the English Channel on June 6, 1944, and Nevada took her place as flagship for the Utah Beach Bombardment Group. Orders came fast and clear: silence the German coastal guns, clear the way for the Allied landing force. From her decks, gunnery officers and shore fire directors worked in tight coordination, relaying target corrections by radio and signal lamp. Nevada's main batteries opened fire before sunrise, sending 14-inch shells arching over the horizon. The first salvos landed with thunderous force, tearing apart pillboxes and gun emplacements hidden behind the dunes. For 11 straight days, Nevada's guns hammered inland targets, reaching as far as 17 miles from the shoreline. The ship's fire control teams drilled to near perfection, adjusted for wind, tide, and the shifting positions of Allied troops. Each request from the beach, marked by colored smoke or frantic radio calls, brought a rapid response. Infantrymen advancing through the hedgerows credited Nevada's accurate fire with saving countless lives, knocking out strong points that had stalled earlier attacks. German coastal batteries fought back, zeroing in on the battleship's silhouette. Over the course of the campaign, Nevada endured 27 near misses, shells exploding so close that water and shrapnel rained across her decks. Yet not a single direct hit found its mark. By the time the last gun fell silent, Nevada had fired thousands of rounds, her barrels scorched, and her reputation as a fighting ship secured. The success at Utah Beach would echo across the fleet, setting the standard for naval gunfire in the battles to come. After the thunder of Normandy faded, Nevada steamed back to the Pacific, her decks still scorched, but her resolve unbroken. In February 1945, off Iwo Jima, she joined the bombardment force, unleashing thousands of 14-inch shells ahead of the Marine landings. For weeks, her guns hammered Japanese positions, tearing open pillboxes and silencing artillery carved deep into volcanic rock. Forward observers called in fire missions day and night, and Nevada's gunnery teams answered every request, sometimes firing for 18 hours straight. Marines advancing on Mount Suribachi credited the battleship's accuracy with breaking the deadlock and clearing the way for the iconic flag raising. But the Pacific War offered no reprieve. At Okinawa, Nevada faced a new kind of threat: kamikaze pilots determined to turn their planes into guided bombs. On March 27, 1945, a kamikaze crashed into her No. 3 turret, detonating fuel and explosives in a flash of heat and twisted steel. 11 sailors were killed, 49 wounded. The turret was wrecked, but damage control teams fought back flames and flooding, keeping the ship in the fight. The battered battleship stayed on station, her guns still firing. Among the fleet, a new nickname took hold. Nevada was the ship that couldn't be sunk. Each scar told the story of a crew that refused to give in, and a vessel that seemed to defy destruction no matter what the enemy threw at her. In 1946, as the world faced the dawn of the atomic age, the Navy assigned USS Nevada a new and unsettling role. Memos from Operation Crossroads planners described her as the ideal test subject, a ship that had survived torpedoes, bombs, and kamikaze strikes, now chosen to face the first peacetime atomic detonations at Bikini Atoll. To make her stand out among the target fleet, crews coated her hull in fluorescent orange paint, a color visible from miles away and unmistakable in the glare of a nuclear blast. For some, this decision felt like a final insult. Letters poured in from Nevada's former crew and naval veterans, questioning why a ship with such a storied past should be sacrificed as a test hulk. The symbolism was impossible to ignore. A survivor of every major battle, now marked for destruction in the name of science and spectacle. On July 1st, 1946, weaponeers at Bikini Atoll prepared a Nagasaki-type plutonium bomb for detonation. The device, packing roughly 23 kilotons of explosive force, was suspended 520 feet above the lagoon, an altitude chosen to maximize the blast's reach across the assembled target fleet. At 0 hour, the bomb ignited in a blinding flash, vaporizing the air and water beneath it. Nevada, painted blaze orange for visibility, took the brunt of the fireball. The shock wave scorched her superstructure and peeled paint from steel, but the hull below the waterline stayed intact. Despite severe burns and twisted metal topside, Nevada remained afloat. The Able test proved that even an atomic airburst, precisely targeted, could not easily sink a battleship built for endurance. The ship's battered silhouette, still upright after the world's most powerful weapon, became the baseline for what would follow. On July 25, 1946, the Baker test delivered an atomic blast beneath the surface at Bikini Atoll, sending a column of water and debris towering into the sky. Nevada, anchored among the target fleet, was hammered by the shockwave and drenched in radioactive fallout. Within hours, radiological monitors recorded dangerous levels of contamination across her decks and deep inside the hull. Cleanup crews, outfitted with primitive protective gear and Geiger counters, attempted to assess the damage, but found the ship too hazardous for safe entry. Reports from the Navy's health and safety teams concluded that Nevada's steel, paint, and even her machinery had absorbed so much radioactivity that no amount of scrubbing could make her safe. For 2 years, the ship sat isolated, untouchable, a floating warning of the unseen dangers unleashed by the atomic age. On July 31st, 1948, the order came to end the USS Nevada's journey. Too radioactive for further use and unfit for preservation, she was towed 65 nautical miles southwest of Pearl Harbor, escorted by a flotilla of Navy vessels. The final exercise was deliberate and methodical, recorded in sinking logs with the precision of a firing squad. Aircraft began the assault, dropping bombs that rocked the battered hull but failed to break her. Destroyers moved in next, launching torpedoes that tore into her sides, sending up columns of spray. The battleship USS Iowa joined the action, her gunners firing heavy shells at close range. For hours, Nevada absorbed everything. Explosions echoed across the empty sea, and steel buckled under the relentless barrage. Even as her decks twisted and compartments flooded, the hull refused to yield. Only after repeated hits from every weapon in the Navy's arsenal did Nevada finally slip beneath the waves, her hull still largely intact. The crews who watched her disappear understood they were witnessing the end of an era. This was a ship that had survived World War, atomic fire, and now, by human hands, was consigned to the deep. 3 miles beneath the Pacific, the silence is broken. Only by the whir of autonomous underwater vehicles as they scan the Nevada's final resting place. The first maps reveal a debris field unlike any other. Massive 14-inch gun turrets, each weighing hundreds of tons, lie scattered far from the upturned hull. The force needed to tear these turrets free would have been immense, likely a combination of the ship's violent sinking and the impact of falling nearly 15,400 feet to the seabed. High-definition photogrammetry exposes the scars of atomic fire. Steel plates are warped and torn in patterns that resemble the petals of a flower, distinctive evidence of the nuclear blasts at Bikini Atoll. Some sections are melted smooth, others twisted into shapes never seen in conventional shipwrecks. In the midst of this chaos stands an unexpected relic, a 46-ton M26 Pershing tank resting upright in a shallow crater. It survived both atomic detonations and the plunge to the ocean floor, its hull eerily intact. For marine scientists and autonomous underwater vehicle operators, these discoveries are more than artifacts. They are forensic proof of Nevada's ordeal, a record written in steel and silence. Today, Nevada rests in darkness, her steel scarred by war and atomic fire, and her hull a time capsule preserved by radiation and cold. As nuclear legacies and deep-sea ecosystems intersect, her story warns how technology outlasts memory. In a world still shaped by the choices of war, Nevada endures, a silent reminder that what we create, we never truly leave behind. Thanks for watching.